Hi, I'm Paulette Lambert. I'm in the Wellness Kitchen at the California Health and Longevity Institute. Who doesn't like comfort food? Today we're going to make a light chicken pot pie, and yes, it's possible. We're going to be using a light biscuit mix with lean chicken and lots of fresh vegetables to make a wonderful pot pie. First of all, I'm going to do a very quick, easy method to make this. Often it's a very traditional dish that you could spend a lot of time in the kitchen. Most of us don't have that time, so we're going to do a very shortened version, but the flavor is no less than the traditional one. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to start white meat of chicken. And this is one of the ways we're going to keep the calories lower. We're not using any dark meat or anything with skin in it that makes it more fat. So I'm going to add this just to some boiling water, and we're going to poach our chicken, which is a quick, easy way to get chicken ready for things like chicken pot pie or chicken soup. So I just have a plain water here, just simmering, and I'm going to stick our boneless, skinless chicken breast right in the water, and we'll let that cook for about 10 to 12 minutes until they're tender. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our vegetable filling ready for our chicken pot pie. So I have 2 tablespoons of margarine, and this is a no trans fat, very low in saturated fat margarine, and that's another way that we can cut the fat down. We're not using a cube of butter. So we're using a very small amount of healthy margarine. That will get going here. Another way we cut the calories and the fat down is we're going to be adding a lot of volume of vegetables to our chicken pot pie to make it even healthier and also more volume, less calories. So it looks like our margarine's melting, and I've got a half of a small onion finely diced. And I've got 2 stalks of celery that we sliced. So we're just going to saute those vegetables. Already smells good. You want to make sure you don't overcook your vegetables at this stage, because we're also going to put this in the oven, and we don't really want them mushy. We want them tender, but not mushy. So many times when people make chicken pot pie, they cook the vegetables to death, and we don't have a lot of color, and we don't have a lot of texture. Again, don't need them hard and crunchy, but want them tender, but not overcooked. That looks like it's doing really well. Smells so good. And I'm going to add our carrots. And I'm going to add our mushrooms. I'm not going to add our frozen peas until the very end. And we keep them frozen because they're so small. They're going to cook so quickly. As soon as they heat through, they're cooked. And because they have a tendency to get gray in color if we overcook them, we're going to add those at the very end. And I'm going to just turn our chicken over here to the other side. Looks like it's nice and getting nice and tender, but we'll turn it over to make sure we get it evenly cooked through. Go. Give that a little more heat. Looks like all this is doing really well. That's great. Because I've already added the margarine, the fat's in there, I'm going to sprinkle 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour on the top lightly. And we're going to mix that in. And this is what's going to thicken the sauce for our chicken pot pie. Make sure you get that really well mixed in because we don't want any lumps in our sauce. That looks right. And then I'm going to be adding 1.5 cups of reduced sodium fat-free chicken broth. And you really want to use the organic if you can, because it really has less contamination. We don't really want all those antibiotics, hormones cooked down and concentrated in a broth. And so if you can't find organic chicken or it's too expensive, at least use organic chicken broth. That'll help improve the health of this chicken pot pie. So this is going to thicken relatively quickly because we have that flour mixed in with that margarine. And it looks like we're already making a sauce. I'll let you take a peek at that. See how that's already thickened and already making a sauce here for our vegetables. And then I'm going to add 1/2 cup of fat-free half and half. And if you don't have that, you can also use low-fat or non-fat milk. And that's going to give us that richness, creaminess to our sauce for our chicken pot pie. You will never miss the fat in this chicken pot pie. The flavor is so good. And now I'm going to add a teaspoon of dried thyme, and you can use fresh as well. And it really brings out chicken flavor. And we're going to add a couple tablespoons of chopped parsley. And now we're going to add our frozen peas, and I'm going to turn off the heat, and we're going to just wait till our chicken gets done, and we'll cube our chicken, and we'll add it to our filling. So there is the base of our chicken pot pie, minus the chicken, which we'll add in a few minutes. And we'll let that just sit here for a few minutes and let all those flavors. Oh, let's add a little bit of salt and pepper. So I'm going to add about a half a teaspoon of pepper and about a half a teaspoon of salt. We're using sea salt or kosher salt without the iodine. That's really important. You then use sea salt or kosher salt because we don't have the iodine and it doesn't give food that off or bitterness. You can use less. While that's cooking, let's go over here and make the topping. We're going to be using a reduced fat biscuit mix. So I've got my cup and a half of biscuit mix here. For a flavor booster is a couple tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. And then for health benefit, we found that we can add about 2 tablespoons of oat bran or ground flaxseed, and that way we get more fiber than what traditionally comes in a reduced fat biscuit mix. So I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of just ground oat bran. The reason I'm using oat bran makes our topping much higher in fiber, much more whole grain, and helps lower cholesterol. And since this already has a little bit of healthy fat added to it, no saturated fat, I'm now going to add a half a cup of low-fat buttermilk. And if you don't have buttermilk, you can use regular milk as well. And that is our biscuit topping. I think our chicken's almost done. Oh yeah, that's good. Okay, so let's just cut these in bite-sized pieces. Not too small. You want to know there's chicken in there. There we go. Looks like we're about ready to put this in our chicken pot pie. Oh, nice, moist, tender chicken. And let's just add that to our chicken pot pie here. Okay, and all we need to do is mix this up with our vegetables and our sauce. And that is our filling. And I'm going to put it in our baking dish. Look at these beautiful colors. The peas stayed green, the carrots are still orange. The celery looks still like celery. And that is our filling. Oh, looks so good. And now what I'm going to do is just spoon on nice rounded spoons of our biscuit topping. Just nice kind of rounded tablespoonfuls. You don't have to have every piece of this covered. These are going to expand and they're going to get larger. So don't make them too big and spread them out a little bit. What's nice about this is you can control how much topping. If you're really trying to lose weight, you may only want to make 1 biscuit per person. It's nice to still have it, but we may not need as much. I think we'll get one more over in this corner here and we're good. Good. And this is ready to put in the oven. It needs to heat about 20 minutes at 350. The biscuits will get nice and brown and puffed up, and then our filling will be nice and bubbly. Well, it looks like our chicken pot pie is done. It looks so delicious. So I'm going to serve this up. Nothing beats homemade comfort food. Light, fluffy biscuits. Make sure we get a lot of our chicken. Beautiful vegetables. And we can just sprinkle it with a little fresh green parsley if we want to do that over the top. And that is our chicken pot pie. Let's take a taste. A little bit of biscuit. Oh, they're nice and fluffy. Get some carrot and a piece of chicken. Oh, it's so hot. It is so good. This is so fresh tasting. We've got our lean chicken, all of our beautiful vegetables that are not soggy but tender, and we got this light fluffy biscuit in this decadent tasting sauce that almost has no fat. This is Paulette Lambert from the Wellness Kitchen, where everything's nutritious and always delicious.